This little refrain should help me explain. As a matter of fact, I like beer. He likes beer.
I love beer, and I made beer in college, and I got a job out in Colorado, and so I was living in Boulder, and there was a little brewery out there at the time called New Belgium Brewery, and they have a beer called Fat Tire. You know, I drank quite a bit of that out there, and then thought, hey man, we should be doing this back in Michigan.
And that's just what Brett Vanderkamp did. The founder and president of New Holland Brewing Company in Holland, Michigan, is part of his statewide success story.
Michigan's small brewers are very well respected across the country. We have over 80 small breweries in the state of Michigan. Generally, they're made up of entrepreneurs, people that are very independent, free-thinking, and creative individuals.
But if you want to buy this renowned Michigan beer or sell it in your store or restaurant, you can't just call Vanderkamp and have it sent over. Despite the recent success of craft brewing in Michigan, the state still has one of the nation's strictest laws dictating who can sell beer, how they get it, and how these small beer entrepreneurs run their businesses. It's all due to Michigan's little-known and little-understood three-tier distribution system.
You have these very distinct tiers where you can't have ownership that crosses those tiers, and so it's what I would describe as, what many would describe as somewhat archaic, and it's also very rigid.
This means Vanderkamp cannot hire just anyone to deliver his own company's beer. Virtually all of his beer must flow through state-approved wholesalers. The Michigan Liquor Control Commission enforces the three-tier system. Former commission member Jim Story says the system grew out of Prohibition back in the early 1900s.
It was because of pre-Prohibition, there were abuses where people who owned breweries were owning saloons and, not abiding by normal conduct to protect public health and safety, were encouraging people to drink regardless of the consequences. So coming out of Prohibition, Michigan and a lot of other states enacted the three-tier system, which basically says if you own a brewery or a winemaker or a distillery or a producer, you cannot be a wholesaler or own a retail outlet, with some modest exceptions there.
If you look at it from purely a free market approach, there's really no justification. However, there was a lot of concern about the industry prior to Prohibition and the need to quote-unquote control minors drinking and how much people were consuming.
Vanderkamp says the three-tier system can give government-mandated wholesalers too much power that's hard to escape.
Once you sell beer to that distributor, you have entered into a contract that I like to say sometimes is more difficult to get out of than a marriage in Michigan, and I mean that wholeheartedly. We have an instance right now in town, with a retailer that really wants to carry our product but doesn't like our wholesaler. So then you're left with, well, I can't have wholesaler B take you the product because there is no wholesaler B. So you're kind of left with, you got to use wholesaler A.
In this aspect, Vanderkamp is fortunate. He has a good relationship with his distributor, which is located only a mile from his business. Other breweries are not so lucky.
A lot of breweries don't have a hometown distributor, and so they're forced to sign on with a distributor that's maybe in Kalamazoo, or a couple hours away, or on the east side of the state.
Here's what this means. Say a small brewery in the Lake Michigan resort town of Saugatuck wants to sell its beer to a restaurant that's also in Saugatuck. By law, the Saugatuck brewery must first sell through a wholesaler, which could be in Kalamazoo, some 50 miles away, even if the beer is shipped right back to Saugatuck. That's a government-mandated 100-mile round trip just so folks in Saugatuck can buy a local craft beer brewed right down the road. Story says perhaps it's time Michigan looks to other states as better examples of alcohol regulation.
This is Ohio's law. This is Indiana's law. This is Michigan's law today. This is the size of Wisconsin's law. And then this is Michigan's law from 1960.
I mean, you look around at the brewing industry, we're really starting to become have a real impact economically. We're right in the heart of downtowns in this state. We're a Main Street business, and we touch a lot of different aspects of our communities. I really see people moving away from the mass industrial beers. I see a change in the market. I see consolidation going on the very large brewers, and I think that offers incredible opportunity for small brewers, and we should be really supporting the small brewers. I can't say it any better than that. We ought to be creating laws that is very business friendly.
So it's really up to our political leadership now to get going and say, is this enough for Michigans to be safe? Is this enough for Michigan to be safe? Is this enough for Michigan to be safe? Or are our people so out of control that we need something like this?
As a matter of fact, I like beer. He likes beer.